Hello, everybody. My name is Jerry Yakov, and I'm your host of Spiritual Awakening 101. Welcome to this episode. Today, I'm going to start out with some reading from the Science of Mind magazine. This is the December issue, Science of Mind, and this is for today's date, December 26th. At the top, there's a quote from Melody Beattie, and some of you may remember her and her well-known book, Codependent No More. And this is a quote from Melody Beattie. What if we knew the future would be good and we would have an abundance of resources and guidance to handle whatever comes our way? What if we knew everything was okay and we didn't have to worry about a thing? What would we do then? We'd be free to go and enjoy life. And I think that would be a good introduction and an idea for today's episode, recognizing that the future is in God's hands, and we always have an abundance of resources and guidance when we go to our right minds and we recognize that we are provided for now and eternally. And also that if we know that everything is okay, meaning everything is just as it is, this is an acceptance issue. And when we let go of our resistance and our negativity, and we no longer are unaccepting of things, no longer as judgmental or critical, then we don't have anything really to worry about because we place it in the hands of God. And then she says, what would we do when we know everything is okay, all our needs are provided for, and everything will be good from now until eternity? Well, we would go and enjoy life. And again, this is, I think, a good introduction to today's episode. Further in the reading for this date, December 26th, it says, every day we can ask ourselves, what brought me great joy today? Where was I most alive? When we ask, we find God shining through in the answers. I love how William James put it, quote, these then are my last words to you. Be not afraid of life. Believe that life is worth living, and your belief will help create the fact. And an affirmation. Today, I seek the joy of life. I look for only beauty and goodness, and that is all I see. So in this particular wisdom selection, it says every day we ask ourselves this question, what brought me great joy today? It is an everyday practice. It is something that we ask ourselves. It is a rhetorical question in a sense, but it's also a question that we ask our divine self. Because in asking the divine self, we recognize the true answer. If we ask our false self or the ego, we're going to get a false answer, one that's misleading, one that leads to what we talked about earlier, grievances, judgments, criticisms, feelings of inadequacy, feelings of deprivation, victimhood ideas. So we want to make sure that we go within to our ideal or divine self. I call it Christ consciousness. You can call it refuge in the Buddha. Go to the Tao, go to your higher power of your understanding, and simply sit in the quiet and ask yourselves, what brought me the most joy today? And simply ask your higher power, God of your understanding, that you be guided for more of the same, but not same in terms of form, but the same in terms of content. You want to know what will be most inducive of your happiness? What will lead to your most Christ divine self in experience, in recognition of others as their divine selves, in seeing the holiness and divinity of the world, of recognizing all the things that are possible, and then opening our minds and our hearts to the infinite that we don't even recognize because it's beyond our current recognition, but it's infinite possibilities. And when we allow for infinite possibilities, they then they come up to our perceptive level and we recognize them We become aware of them. So again, today I seek the joy of life. I look for only peace and goodness, and that is all I see. Well, I wrote down some affirmations that I would like to share with you. And what I'm going to do is repeat them twice, each affirmation. And in your own mind, make it personal for yourself and recognize that these affirmations are true for you as well. So let's see how this goes. The first affirmation: I am inseparable from my Creator. I am inseparable from my Creator. Feel free to say these out loud to yourself or simply silently in your mind. I am a holy and divine expression of God. I am a holy and divine expression of God. I am as God created me. I am as God created me. I am loved, loving, and lovable. I am loved, loving, and lovable. I am sinless, guiltless, and fearless now. I am sinless, guiltless, and fearless now. I am one with all my brothers and sisters. I am one with all my brothers and sisters. We are all one loving family forever. We are all one loving family forever. Forgiveness is my purpose in life. Forgiveness is my purpose in life. I accept people, places, and things just as they are. I accept people, places, and things just as they are. I am awakening to my true self. I am awakening to my true self. Love is the goal and the way for me. Love is the goal and the way for me. I am happy, joyous, and free. I am happy, joyous, and free. I trust my Creator with all my heart. I trust my Creator with all my heart. I place the future in the hands of God. I place the future in the hands of God. God is my strength, my rock, and my redeemer. God is my strength, my rock, and my redeemer. Christ's vision shows me the way. Christ's vision shows me the way. I have decided to surrender to God's will. I have decided to surrender to God's will. I am awakening to my divinity. I am awakening to my divinity. There is nothing to fear ever. There is nothing to fear ever. Christ's nature empowers me now. Christ's nature empowers me now. I sit at the right hand of God forever. I sit at the right hand of God forever. I am never alone with my soul nature. I am never alone with my soul nature. Perfect love and the truth have set me free. Perfect love and the truth have set me free. And number 20, the last affirmation I've written for you and for me. I laugh often and enjoy life today. I laugh often and enjoy life today. Well, these are 20 affirmations that I've written. Of course, I encourage and support all of you who are inclined to write your own affirmations. Please do so. Feel free every morning to write them. Close your day with affirmations of gratitude. This is the way that we bookend, if you will, our day, starting in the morning with morning affirmations, with expectations of miracles, a willingness to be forgiving and loving and kind. We start our day with an acknowledgement that we're alive, awake, and that we are a divine nature as God created us. And by starting our day with these kinds of affirmations, which I know you can come up with so many, it sets in our minds the possibilities that we're affirming without starting this way. And so often we start with negativity, the day's news, negative thinking. We do that by habituation, if you will. But if we sit down and we write and affirm how we want our day to unfold, there is this higher power. There is this existential essence of divinity that is awakened along with us. And it guides us. And we have many ascended masters, which I'll discuss maybe in another episode, but we're inviting these ascended masters, whether it be the Christ or the Tao or the Buddha or the Shekhinah if you're Jewish. These are all ascended masters, Abraham, Moses, Krishna. You're inviting the divinity within you to guide you and to help you co-create your day in a way that is most beneficial to you and to everybody whom you meet. This is your function, if you will. This is the possibility that exists, to be kind and loving to yourself and others. And then all of the aspects of being kind and loving begin to appear in our lives as well as others. The other aspects I would refer to as everyday life, our going and our coming, our to-do lists, the things that are necessary, but they're done and they're perceived in a way that is filled with the loving kindness and the higher power that we invited within ourselves and our consciousness first thing in the morning. And then I mentioned closing the day in the evening, and I try and do this as well every evening by acknowledging what worked, acknowledging the blessings. You know, we're born in grace, and by grace we live. And so we want to acknowledge and be thankful for the grace and for the blessings and the miracles. These are really shifts in our awareness and our perception. And throughout the day, they've been manifested. You know, like creates like attracts like. And so when we do this at the end of the day, we're thanking our Creator. God doesn't need our thanks. I guess that goes without saying. but we need to remember to be thankful and grateful. That is the possibility that exists throughout our day as well, to be grateful and thankful. Excuse me. So, this is the book ending of the day. Affirmations in the morning, gratitude lists and affirmations in the evening. Another thing that I want to mention is being open, and this is something I talked about in an earlier episode, to the possibility of resistance or denial. We want to look at some of the barriers, some of the things that may have come along that kept us from acknowledging the good in our lives. It's very important that we recognize them rather than suppress them or pretend that they don't exist. I would say that in terms of resistance or denial, the biggest one is fear. Fear is the basic underlying emotion from which every other negative emotion comes from. So fear spawns jealousy, grievances, envy, criticisms, negativity, victimhood thoughts, depression, anxiety, but it's all from the foundational negative emotion of fear. And we can take those fears and the emotions that sprang from it that we recognize throughout the day and start our day over again. No matter how far into our day we are, we can start our day over. It's never too late to have a new day. So, for instance, if I'm feeling anxious, I could say, I take this anxiety and its underlying fear, and I give it to my higher power, God of my understanding. And when I give it with a full heart and with a recognition that prayer and affirmation really do work, that anxiety and that fear is lifted. I know that. I've experienced that in the past, and I have no reason to doubt that God will not answer my prayers. No reason to doubt that He will not answer. He is always present. God's voice is always speaking to me. And when I let go of the resistance and the underlying fear, what comes up is the love that exists and is always present. That is God's creation, is love. So we're removing the darkness or the shadows, the false ideations, the untruths, because there is really no fear. There is no ego except of my own making. There is no anxiety except that I'm doing to myself. And when I let that go and I let God take it up, what's left is God's creation, which is love and light and illumination. So this is the nature of the practice every day. Excuse me. What I'm doing is walking the way of the Tao. The Tao literally means the way. And when I walk that way, consistent with the Christ consciousness and love and kindness, I'm really being in the flow, in the way, in the Tao. And this is a natural expression of life. And I use the term life with a capital L. This is the eternal way. This is the eternal life. This is our life. This is our life now. And every moment of now is an expression of the way and of our lives. And it's so wonderful to live in that knowledge and in that wisdom, because then we can share it. And other people whose minds are one with ours, all minds are joined, their minds also are then clued in, if you will, to the truth and the wisdom of the way. Christ consciousness exists in them. Christ consciousness exists in me. If I'm aware of it and I'm living consistently with it, then those who are around me have a better opportunity to awaken to the Christ consciousness that we share, because it is within them as well. So what I'm finding by living this way is that each day becomes a precious moment. And remember our beginning reading here from Melanie Beatty. Melanie Beatty says, what would we do if we knew that the future would be good and we would have an abundance of resources and guidance, and we knew everything was okay and we didn't have to worry? That's exactly what I'm suggesting in this talk today. She says, what would we do then? And she says we'd be free to go and enjoy life. And I think that's what we're talking about. Enjoying life is an expression of the way, the Christ consciousness. You're living above, if you will, all of the battleground challenges. We witness the battleground challenges. We know that they are in some way our experience, but we can not be attached to them. And we begin to enjoy the challenges as lessons that we can learn, lessons in forgiveness and in love, lessons in kindness, lessons in unattachment. You know, some of the wisdom that I've been reading lately expresses, and this comes from Gina Lake, who is a channeler, and she channels the voice of Jesus. I love her work and I love her books and her videos. And, you know, much of what she says really resonates with me. And I hope you'll take some time to look at her work, Gina Lake. But the point that I wanted to make is that there's an everyday experience, and I would call it a sameness. There seems to be a repetition in life, a cyclical nature that it just kind of goes on, and it may be to the ego boring. To the ego, it looks unfulfilling. But when we're living in the way, when we're living consistent with the Christ consciousness, even the everyday sameness takes on a holiness and a light that lifts us up above the battleground challenges. And so everyday challenges are no longer uh, overpowering to us or for us, because we know that we can rise above it in our consciousness. This is the key, I think, to my teaching. We know that we can rise above the challenges. They are the effect, they are not the cause of how I think, how I feel, how I experience, how I know my own prosperity, how I know my own health, how I know my relationships are all in love. This is the way to live, even the sameness and everydayness of our lives. And then we go and we enjoy. I think simple things are easy to enjoy, don't you? There are things that don't cost money or not a lot of money. I'm an advocate for simplification. I think that's consistent with the Buddhist way. I think it's consistent with the Zen way to simplify life, not be attached to a lot of merchandise, a lot of stuff. I try not to acquire or have a mentality of acquisition to make me happy. Because as we've just said, the cause of my happiness doesn't exist outside of me. It isn't circumstantial. It isn't based on the number of things that I have or the number of pleasurable experiences that I have. It's based on an inner landscape, one of Christ consciousness, one of divinity, one of holiness. And this leads us to the idea of the benefit of meditation and prayer. I can simply sit and know the truth, and a smile comes to my lips. You know, my forehead becomes uncreased. I can feel my whole body relax. And what that means is that I'm aligning in my mind with the refuge of the Zen and the Buddha and the Tao and the Christ. And when I do that, I can sit for many, many minutes without checking my watch, without thinking about my to-do list. So there must be within us a natural tranquilizer, if you will. And that natural tranquilizer is, as Melanie Beatty wrote in her little piece here, we know the future will be good because it's exactly our state of mind right now. And as we think, so is it done unto us. And we know we'll have an abundance of resources. Scarcity and poverty do not exist in a state of Christ consciousness. And I have guidance to handle whatever comes my way. This is, I think, very important to know that I am not alone. I know that I have holding my hand, embracing me, carrying me when I'm at my maybe weakest, a God of my understanding that is unconditional love, that agape love the grace that we talked about. Grace is always being given to me and unfolding. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. And when I know this, I can then go and be free and enjoy my life. Well, we're coming to the end, I would say, of this particular episode. I hope that from beginning to end, it's been valuable for you. I have found it to be most valuable for me as well. You know, I'm teaching to learn, to be really actualized and attain everything that we've talked about may take, on the earthly classroom time, may take lifetimes. But each segment of time, each lifetime, if you will, can be a blessing so that the lessons aren't arduous. They become less and less difficult. I know pain is inevitable in everyone's life, but we say that suffering is optional. And I really feel that that is the truth, and I've experienced it many times myself. Pain may be inevitable, but suffering is optional. And it's optional because we can always turn within to the Christ and the Tao and the Buddha for refuge. And that is the way that we're constructed. That is our hard wiring, if you will. We are actually programmed to be able to turn within for refuge. And then, after the internal programming is completed, so to speak, we then extend it outward to other people. And in the expression or the extension of the love and the calmness and the peace and the serenity, we are saviors, saviors to other people and to savior of the world. That sounds probably very egotistical in a way, pretty grandiose, but it is the truth about us. So remember, you are one with your Creator, and you create in its likeness and image. And there is nothing grandiose about that. That is your grandeur. And so, again, I thank you for watching. And I hope that you'll tune in to our subsequent episodes as they become available. And thank you to the NECAT network for showing our videos. They're very much appreciated. And I encourage everybody to tune in as often as you can. So again, thank you. Namaste, shalom, and peace. And we'll see you all next time. God bless.